ABC News contributor and retired General Robert Abrams joins us now. General Abrams, first of all, thank you so much for joining us again. He was an advisor to former U.S. Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel during the last invasion of Ukraine and more recently was the head of U.S. forces in Korea. So Putin is now shifting into the east. What should we make of this new strategy?
Linsey, good evening. I think this is, we should all recognize first and foremost, as everyone has stated, the initial objectives of Putin's campaign have failed miserably. He clearly wanted to decapitate the democratically elected government of Ukraine, and he was going to do so principally by attacking south from Belarus and Western Russia to seize and control Kyiv to take out the government. That has failed miserably, and now they're looking to salvage some sort of victory of some sort. And hence you've seen Russian forces pulled out of northern and western Ukraine, back into Belarus, into Russia, and now they're conducting reconstitution in an attempt to try to gain more terrain in the south, in particular to achieve control of the Donbas region.
We're almost 7 weeks into this war. Is this move in any way indicative of Putin admitting some sort of failure?
Well, I don't think he's ever going to publicly admit a failure, but in the court of international world opinion, it has been an abysmal failure. And he's got to save face for himself, for his legacy as the leader of his people, and he's got to make it matter for all the sacrifices that the Russian people have already made. 20,000 killed, probably another 50,000 wounded, some probably seriously wounded, not to mention all of the vehicles that have been destroyed. He's got to come away with something. And hence, that's why I think we're seeing this main effort reorganizing itself, reconstituting, as we call it, with an attempt to try to seize some additional ground in the south and the east.
And is that why taking over this portion of the region is so important to him at this point? To save face, if you will.
Yeah, I absolutely think it is. I mean, look, remember, the Donbas was one of the original target areas in 2014, and as ill-prepared as the Ukrainian army was at the time, they managed to hold them off, create a contact line, dig in their defenses, and hold them at bay for 8 years. And during that 8 years, the Ukrainian military has rearmed, refitted, received new equipment, and most importantly, been getting training from the United States and other NATO countries, and they are an excellent fighting force. So, but he's looking to, he's got to be able to point to something that he was able to achieve in this just senseless war in Ukraine.
So in your expertise, if Putin is able to gain control of the eastern part of Ukraine, what does that mean then for the rest of the country?
Well, I think it'll depend on where, when we say that line of control, where that line ends up being, Linsey, to be honest with you. I think if you're President Zelensky, and he said this last week, that if that area is very close to the current contact line that we had prior to 24 February, that would be a way for Russia to save some face, and B, it would be a huge victory for Ukraine. So I think anything beyond that would be viewed by Russia as some sort of victory, and they'll probably couch it in terms of protecting additional indigenous Russian people living in eastern Ukraine.
What happened to the peace talks? Are those just off the table at this point?
Yeah, I think, there hasn't been a lot of reporting about it, and that's principally because Russia came in with a maximalist position that basically said, we want a pledge of neutrality, a pledge that you will not join NATO, and you're going to reduce your weaponry and so forth, and you're going to recognize that Russia has taken control of Crimea and has recognized the separatist region in the east. Of course, that is unacceptable to Ukraine. So I think they've been, prolonging these talks to see how the conflict actually ends. And in this case, I'd say Russia wants to drag it on as long as possible in the hopes that they can arrive at the negotiation table with a much stronger position. Because right now the advantage is with Ukraine.
ABC News contributor and retired General Robert Abrams, we thank you so much for your time and insight. Appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.